2. This is lesson 24, and we're talking about time signatures again today, and we're going to learn a new time signature. So last week, I hope you had a great time learning a conducting pattern and even trying it out. If you remember, we did the 4-4 conducting pattern. So we went down, over to the left, over to the right, back up. I always think of it kind of like a sailboat or a number 4 without a big stem, okay? So you're almost right drawing a number 4 if you think of a 4 like this, okay? Real quick, this isn't on your sheet, but if we were gonna do a 3 conducting pattern, you're gonna go down. We don't go over to the left, we just go over to the right and then back over. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 4. If we're conducting in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. So that one's if there's 4 beats in a measure. If you're in 3 beats, it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's 1, 2's over here, 3's there. If you're in 2, it's just a down and up, down and up. So 1, 2. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And usually 2, mine is a little curvy. Probably a conducting teacher would want me to go more like that. 1, where here's 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so your hand kind of bounces, but it's that shape. Okay, so on the very first line, you have how the top number of a time signature tells how many what are in each measure. The top number of the time signature, this number tells you how many beats are in each measure. The bottom number of the time signature tells you what kind of note gets 1 beat. When there's a 4 on the bottom, it means that the quarter note gets 1 beat, okay? So you'll see I just answered the first 3 blanks for you. So if you need to rewind the video and watch it again, do that, or see if you can figure it out. You should know those. Those are all review. Okay, then on the next section, you are going to be writing the counts in under each line. So here we have 2 8s, a quarter note, 4 16th notes, and 2 8s. Okay, how many beats are in each measure? 4. So we know we're going to count to 4 in each measure. When we count 8th notes, what do we say? Ands, right? The number and then ands. 1 and. Then we have a quarter note. What number comes after and? We just said 1, so this will be 2. The and is inside there because there's 2 8th notes in there. Now we have 16th notes. When we count 16th notes, what are our counting words? It's the number, then E and A. So here, this would be 3, E, and A. Then this one would be 4. It's 8th notes, so 4 and. Now, if you want to be my favoriteest student of all, this is a correct answer. But in order to be my favoriteest student of all, you could count these in all 16th notes, so that because we usually take the fastest or the smallest note value, the one that gets the shortest amount of time, and that's what we count in. So this would be 1 E and A, so that note gets that. Then this would be 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E, and then and a. And if you write in your counting like this, you will be my favoriteest student of all. Okay, then the next line has 5 beats in a measure. It's 5/4. We're still counting the quarter notes. Okay, so finish that first part of the worksheet. I would suggest turning the video off, do the first part of the worksheet, and then come back and watch the rest of this. Because we have a new time signature. There's a new number. We got new numbers in town, okay? So, 6, 8. We said that the top number tells you how many beats are in a measure. So we have 6 beats in every measure, okay? 6 beats in every measure. The 8 on the bottom tells us that an 8th note gets 1 beat. Okay. So, then I have some questions for you. In how many 8th notes does it take to make 1 quarter note? How many 8th notes do we have to draw over here to equal 1 quarter note? So how many 8th notes are in a quarter note? 2, right? So 2 8th notes together equal 1 quarter note. How many 8th notes are in a dotted quarter note? Do you remember this? How many 8th notes are in a dotted quarter note? Well, we know there's 2 in the quarter note, and then the dot gets how many? 1 more. So there's 3 in the dotted quarter note. Okay. So if an 8th note is getting 1 beat, how many beats, if we're in 6/8 time, a quarter note gets how many beats? 2. So now instead of a quarter note getting 1 beat, it gets 2 beats because we're counting the 8th notes inside there. How many beats does a dotted quarter note get? How many 8th notes are inside there? It gets 3. Okay, so now here's a little hint. Everything, all of the notes in 6/8, when we go from, okay, so then you can look at your second page. In 4/4 time, a quarter note gets how many beats? But in 6/8 time, we said a quarter note gets 2 beats. In 4/4 time, an 8th note gets half of a beat. In 6/8 time, the 8th note, oops, wrote it wrong. We said the 8th note gets 1 beat. Okay, so over here, remember we are counting 8th notes. So this would get 1 beat. This means that the 8th note gets 1 beat, and there's going to be 6 of them in every measure. 6 8th notes in every measure. So an 8th note gets 1. A quarter note, how many 8th notes are inside a quarter note? 2. Well, over here, we're counting quarter notes. A quarter note gets 1 beat. So this one gets 1 and this one gets half. Okay? A dotted quarter note in 4/4 time, so we're counting quarter notes. 1, and the dot says get a half. In 6/8 time, how many 8th notes are in that dotted quarter note? Well, we know there's 2 inside the quarter note. And then the 8th note means take half and add it to those 2. So now it gets 3. Okay, so do you see a pattern? Whatever the note gets in 4/4 time, we double it. So quarter is 1, now it's 2. This is half, now it's 1. This one gets 1 1/2, now it gets 3. Okay, so what would a half note get? How many beats does a half note get in 4/4 time? 2, right? That's easy. So what's a half note doubled? Gets 4. Okay? You won't see this very much because we like to put them in groups of 3. Okay, what about a dotted half note? A dotted half note gets 3 beats. So over here, a dotted half note would get 6 beats. And look, so in many ways, the dotted half note is it takes up all of the beats in 6/8. Why? So I kind of gave you the answer, but let's think about it. Why would you not use a whole note in 6/8? Why do we not use whole notes in 6/8 time? Over here it gets 4. Because if we're counting 8th notes, there's 8 eighth notes. How many can we have in each measure? Only 6. So we don't use a whole note in 6/8 time because there are too many 8th notes. There are too many beats inside there. But in 4/4 time, we use it because there's only 4 beats and it uses all of them up. Okay? So on your second page, I give you a chart and you are going to write in what we just did. How many beats does an 8th note get in 4/4 time? How many beats does an 8th note get in 6/8 time? How many beats does it get in, what does a quarter note get in 4/4 time? How many beats? How many beats does a quarter note get in 6/8 time? Okay? Then I give you some counts. Okay, so we've got, here we are in 6/8. So you know how many beats they get. So we're going to be counting to 6. So we're going to have 1. This one gets a number. 2, 3. Then here we have, how many beats did we say the dotted quarter note gets? How many 8th notes are inside there? 3. So this is going to be 4, 5, 6. All of those are in, so I draw my dashes to show that all of those beats are in one note. Okay, next one, the quarter note gets 2 beats, right? There's 2 8th notes in there. 3, then 2 more beats. 4, 5, draw your dash because they're all inside that one note. 6. Then the last note on that first line, you have all 6. 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, 5 dash, 6. Okay? So that's counting in 6/8. So the other thing that sometimes happens is students think that if it's in 6/8, it goes faster. Not necessarily. It's all about how we're counting and reading the notes, okay? So you could still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. We could play a slow 6/8 song. We could play a fast 6/8 song. We could play a fast 4/4 song. We can play a slow 4/4 song, okay? So it doesn't make it go faster. We're just, every 8th note, we give it a new number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you could have 8, 8, and then you'd be counting 8 eighth notes in every measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are some pieces that are written in 12, 8. You count to 12 in every measure, and we're counting eighth notes. There are 12 eighth notes in every measure. 9, 8. Now, you may be noticing that here's my marker. Many of the ones where we're counting eighth notes, we often do it, sometimes it's not always, but often it will be a number divisible by 3. So you have 6, 8, or 3, 8, or 9, 8, or 12, 8. You might see a 2, 8. You might see a 4, 8. And you might see an 8, 8, an even number. But why would they not want to use these as much? You're like, no, she's making us do fractions. You're right. Really, this is 4, 4. Really, this is 2, 4. And this one you could, but 2 eighth notes, that's like having 1 quarter note in every measure. You might as well do this one. Every once in a while, you'll see a 2, 8 where you have to go 1, 2. It's really quick. It's a quick measure. But for the most part, we use these time signatures before we use these. Not that you'll never see them, but typically if it's going to be an even number, we're going to count quarter notes. Okay? But if it's an odd number, 6, 8, 3, 8, 9, 8, 12, 8, then we can't write quarter notes that way, right? Because we don't have a quarter note. There isn't a number for the dotted quarter note. So we have to count in eighth notes, okay? This is just a side note, but these are called, it's called simple meter. And these are called compound meter. Anything that can be divided by 3 is compound meter. Anything that can be divided by 2 is simple meter. Now, the one that breaks the rule is 3, 4 for that. Okay, and it's because it's a quarter note. So if there's a 4 on the bottom, it's probably, there's a 4 on the bottom and it's 2, 4, 4, 4, 3, 4, it's simple meter. Up here, these are going to be compound meter. Okay? But we'll get more into that in more advanced theory classes. But it's kind of good for you to hear those words, compound meter and simple meter. That's it for today. I basically did your theory homework with you. You just have a few things left to fill in. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week.